Oh wow, what a welcoming sight. Rain all on my potted garden here. They're just doing absolutely wonderful. And I'm so happy about that. And the compost plays a big role when it rains. But we'll get into that, because today it's all about how I use compost in the garden. I reckon you can learn plenty from this too. Start implementing some of these techniques that I use right here at Marty's Garden. Today's going to be a really interesting video, I reckon. Actually, more than interesting, it's going to be super educational, because compost, it's just amazing stuff. We all really need to be using it in our garden if we can. Now, today, as I drink this cup of tea with you all in my early morning, it's about 6:30 in the morning, I guess, and it's a blue sunny sky. Bit of rain last night. Gotta love that. Anyway, look, we're predicted to have a dry spring, maybe even a dry summer. So compost is going to play a huge role in my garden and other gardens around Australia, on the east coast especially, because it holds moisture. It holds the moisture, biology, feeds plants, and keeps the soil really, really happy. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to break it down into all the different ways that I'm using compost in my garden here. And hopefully you can implement some of these tips and techniques at your place to get really good results too. Now I'm going to start with, I don't want to do this like a list video. We go number 1, number 2, but yep, this is number 1. The worm farms, right? So I use compost in my worm farms quite regularly. Sometimes in the top level and the bottom level, second level, using what I call the Taj Mahal method. So if you want to know more about that, just type in Taj Mahal worm farm into YouTube and you can find more about that. And if I remember, I'll leave a link somewhere up around here as well. But yeah, just type it in, probably easier. So I put it all around the worm farms as well. Now, one of the arguments with underground worm farms, such as the sub pod and homemade ones, things like that, they talk about, and I've heard other YouTube gardeners talk about, is that the worms will only come out so far from the garden, from the underground system. Well, actually, that is not true, because what happens is if you're using compost around the outside of these farms and you're using a good carbon, such as, you know, bales and stuff like that in the garden, like bale gardening like I do, they come through and get into all that moisture, all that carbon, and move. And so essentially, if you've got a raised bed, that becomes almost one big giant worm farm with a central breeding station where they lay some cocoons, and the bigger ones move out into the garden bed, especially the night crawlers, and moving through and eating old roots, and, you know, getting in and grabbing bits of carbon and moving all the biology around, dropping their beautiful castings, and just doing a wonderful job. So I recommend that you use it with your worm farming systems in the ground and also the above ground systems, because compost is number 1 in my opinion. Okay, number 2. Here we go. Number 2. Said it wouldn't be a list video, but it seems to be coming that way. We'll just keep rolling out because we'll just let the traffic go past. I've got to keep these videos going, right? I'm out in the front yard, so to speak. And it's, won't be too much traffic, I hope. Anyway, number 2. I use it in my potting mix. Now, something happened just recently where my big bad boy worm farm, that piece of crap just exploded, all the sides fell apart, and we're doing some harvesting and all that. And anyway, I don't really mind. We harvested a lot of it and made a really awesome potting mix blend. So I sifted that. I added compost from the bay as well, and we also added some pine bark fines to it and some organic powders that have got different minerals and things in there and stuff for helping for flowering and all that stuff. So an awesome product, and we bagged and sold a few of those, and just stoked because that was a bit of a trial run, see if people wanted them. And yeah, with the worm castings, the aged compost in there, just brilliant. So if you can age some compost and sift it and put it into your potting mixes, way to go, way to go for sure. It really adds some life to your container gardening. Now if you can't and you live locally, come around and pick up some of my stuff, because it's got worm castings, and you know, we mix it all up. And being a horticulturist, pretty sure I know what I'm doing. Well, I shouldn't say I'm pretty sure. That's not a good sales technique, is it? I'm sure I know what I'm doing. I've done plenty of them before. And yeah, we're going to have so many here until eventually we find out a system where we can make a few more. But at the moment, limited stock for those. Number 3, spreading it around the garden, on top of the garden, is really important. You see, what we're doing is we're creating no-dig gardens. I'm going to get in the middle here for this, and we're feeding the top of the soil. So we're looking at the I'm not going to say mantra. I'm making a lot of mistakes in this video today, but I'm just going to keep on rolling. You put it on top of the soil to feed the soil, not the plants. Get rid of the mindset of feeding the plants. Feed the soil in organic systems. When you feed the soil takes care of the plants, and the symbiogy from the ground to the sun to the leaves to the soil makes the plants grow like crazy and become more pest resistant and against disease and stuff like that. So feed the soil on top like a no-dig system, and then mulch. Make sure the mulch isn't too thick so the rain can get in when you water, and just continually keep feeding the soil like that. Feed, feed, feed with compost. All right, let's move back to the side so we can keep pulling up images to here. So when you start a compost system, you want to use some old compost that you can already get. So you come and buy some from someone like myself, or get some around the area that you know is a good quality organic compost. And then you add it to your compost that you're getting started. Throw all that biology in there. Get all those beneficial microbes in there. Get any good bacteria that's in that stuff into your system. This is what they do in biodynamics and things like that. They take and add, take and add, take and add. I wouldn't recommend so much going out and stealing stuff from the forest and things like that, but get some from a local, add some in, and then start feeding that compost. And just like I've got like the big bad boy here, wherever it is, feed that system and you will do absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Now other things you can do with it, such as like little hacks and stuff like that, you can throw it like a few handfuls in a bucket of water, stir it up. You can water your pot plants with it. That's a really good thing to do. Just be careful if you put it in a watering can, because it blocks up watering cans and stuff like that. But let it sit overnight and sort of seep through, and then you can use it on your plants just like that. Now, compost is super versatile. So if you've got sandy soils, it builds the soil up so it holds more moisture, and you can actually, like if you've got your first garden, you might want to dig it through a little bit and then just do the layering like I was talking about. So once you've done a bit of your first dig ever, you just need to throw on and feed the soil after that. Same with clay soils. It breaks it up, takes away the clugginess so it's all binding together, and helps it become more friable. And that way you've got great drainage, great water storage, and your roots can move all throughout. Now when you're working with compost yourself, make sure you keep a blocky structure in it. Don't get it too fine unless, when you're sifting and things like that, unless you're doing a seed raising mix, because the finer it is, the more compacted it becomes. Then people start adding sand to it. I don't like that. You know, like a lot of the landscaping places, they add sand to these soils and things, and you know, it's a really old method of doing. I don't like that system, but maybe it works for others. Doesn't really work for me, never has in the past. But keep your soil structure blocky, keep your compost blocky, so the blocks sit on top of each other and the air can pass through and the water can come through and it doesn't get compacted. Also, what compost does is it stops soil from becoming hydrophobic. So if you've got a soil or a garden that's become compacted over time, the water's not getting in, check it and get a fork in there and dig it down and just move the roots around and see how compacted it is. If it is, loosen it up a little bit. Loosen up around the plants, try not to disturb it too much, but you need to get air and oxygen and open up that soil profile or that garden bed, and then start feeding it with compost on top and watering it in. You see, when we put compost on top and we water it in and we create these layers and it rains, the water soaks into the compost, moves down through the soil profile or the pot, and then reaches the plant's roots, and the plant goes, "Thank you, Marty, for telling everyone this. I love you because you've made my life more valuable." I'm raving on again. People are going to unsubscribe straight away from that comment. Look, just having a bit of a joke. I'm in a jolly mood this morning. Wanted to share about compost with you all. Hopefully you got some value out of that. Share your compost tips down below. Maybe you're feeding it coffee, doing different types of things, adding worms to it, building worm beds, all that really cool stuff. Love to hear from you. The community also reads down there in the comments. They get a lot of value from you guys when you add there. So please do let me know how's it going. And I'll tell you what, I'm working on the website now. So interesting times ahead, and some good reasons why I'm building out the website again. So happy everything. Keep on smiling. Have a great day. And I'll see you at the next video real soon. Here comes Flexi Hand. I don't know if I'll do bloopers through this video. Maybe I should. Shirley, come help me. She's still in bed. I need her on the camera. Bye for now.